The stock market has been getting slapped so far in 2022, and that's not the only thing that's been getting slapped. In this video, I'm going to be going through my Vanguard Stocks and Shares ISA. It's going to be an update as of the end of March / start of April. It's also a good time to do this as it's the end of the tax year. The UK tax year ends on the 5th of April. So after running through my portfolio performance over the last month and the last entire tax year, I'm going to show you what I invest into, how much I've contributed, how much I've made and lost, all of that good stuff. After that, I'm then going to sort of touch on some of the Stocks and Shares ISA Basics, so you can then get started with your own Stocks and Shares ISA in the next tax year that starts on the 6th of April 2022 if you haven't got started with a Stocks and Shares ISA already. So without further ado, let's get into my portfolio.
Drum roll, please.
My Stocks and Shares ISA is currently sitting just below £20,000 at £19,616 as of the 28th of March. For a quick bit of background, a bit of history, I've been contributing to this Stocks and Shares ISA for over 3.5 years now. I started with £100 a month, and now over time, as my salary's increased, I've ramped it up to where now I'm contributing £650 per month. As you can see, it's all in one fund, the FTSE Global All Cap. Currently, my cost is $17,700. My value or equity is $19,600, which means over that time period, I've made a gain of just over £1,800.
Here comes the money.
That is a paper gain. Essentially, it's unrealized. I'm not planning on selling my investments anytime soon, but that gain or that change is all on paper at the moment. So if I did sell, I would lock that in, but obviously I don't plan on doing that because my aim is to build up this pot and then one day live off of my Stocks and Shares ISA before retirement age. And hopefully, as my salary continues to increase, as I progress over time, I can up my contributions and put more and more into my ISA each month through my automatic direct debit that goes in. I've made quite a few videos on global funds, why I use them, and this specific fund in particular, but it's pretty much as globally diversified as you can get. It invests into 7,000 companies all around the world, including small, medium, and large size companies. This chart with those green dots shows what I've been buying over the last year, and you can see I've pretty much been buying consistently every single month with a few extra transactions. Those are either if I get a bonus from work or if I have some money left over in my budget when it comes to the end of the month, I'll often try and put that money in my Stocks and Shares ISA if I can. I now look at my portfolio performance over the last month and then also the last 12 months for the entire tax year. So first of all, over the last month, you can see it's actually been pretty decent. I've contributed $650, my normal monthly amount, and my investments have also returned $650, which is a 3.52% growth rate. So over 1 month, that's pretty good. The stock market had been falling early on in the year and is still overall down on the year, but it's good to see a little bounce back. And if you put it into context, when savings accounts are offering peanuts, 0.1%, maybe 0.5%, 1% if you're lucky across the whole year, to get 3.5% in 1 month is obviously a good rate of return. The rate of return is impossible to predict, but it's still interesting to look at things like this. This one now is slightly more interesting because it's a longer time frame. I'm looking across the entire tax year from the 6th of April 2021 until today, which is the 28th of March. You can see I started with £8,000, just over. I then contributed over £10,000. My investments returned £1,000. And that then gives me a yearly rate of return across that 12-month period of 7.31%, which is what you really expect over the long term when it comes to investing. You normally expect 7 or 8%. So that's obviously pretty bang on. Usually the stock market gives a massively different number. It could be much higher, it could be much less, but it usually averages out to be 7 to 8% over the long term. And it's interesting I actually achieved that 7.31% return in the last 12 months in that tax year. My plan really going forward for the next tax year is much the same. It's going to be try and invest as much as possible. I'm going to keep it at $650 per month, but hopefully I can slowly increase that later on in the year. And if I can invest any extra money, hopefully I can contribute more than £10,191 in this tax year. And the good thing is because I've now got a bit of a foundation with a nearly £20,000 Stocks and Shares ISA portfolio, I should now hopefully start to see some of the benefits of compounding with that money growing over time, as now I've been using this for 3.5 years. Obviously, this didn't happen overnight. It's the combination of months and months, years of investing regularly with some gains in there, and now it's ballooned to 20k, and hopefully in 12 months time I can be sitting here with a 35k portfolio, if not more, assuming the market gives us a decent rate of return. Something like 7% would be pretty decent over the next year, given everything that's going on at the moment in the global economy. And as I mentioned, all of that money is in one single fund, the FTSE Global All Cap. I go through why I use global funds, why I prefer them over US funds in a lot more detail in other videos, and also my ebook, Stop Waiting, Start Investing. So if you want to have more information on that, check that out. The link will be in the description. So I've now covered my Vanguard portfolio Stocks and Shares ISA update for the last month, and also looking at the performance over the last 12 months. I hadn't looked at that before I pressed record on this video. Now I wanted to touch on Stocks and Shares ISAs in a bit more detail, give you the rundown of what they are and how they work. So in the new tax year, if you don't already have one opened, you then know what you're getting yourself into. So first things first, a Stocks and Shares ISA is just a type of account. There are 3 layers to invest in: a platform like Vanguard, an account like a pension or a Stocks and Shares ISA, and then an actual investment, step 3, like a fund or a stock. So a Stocks and Shares ISA is layer number 2. That's just a type of account, essentially a wrapper that you put money in. A misconception is that your Stocks and Shares ISA gives you a return. That's not directly true, because it's whatever is inside of your Stocks and Shares ISA gives you the return. So in my case, the FTSE Global All Cap has given me 7.3% over the last 12 months. That is the investment. That's what's generated my return. That's just then housed in the Stocks and Shares ISA wrapper, which is layer 2. And then obviously the first layer is the platform, and for that I use Vanguard.
Knowledge.
So most platforms in the UK do offer a Stocks and Shares ISA. There are a lot of different platforms out there. It's really up to you to do a bit of research, see which platform is the best for you. For me, Vanguard suits me because I can invest automatically. They have a very diversified global fund, which is what I want, and I can keep my approach very hands-off and set and forget, and that's what I want. But there are a lot of platforms out there. Vanguard only offer Vanguard funds. If you also want to invest into individual stocks and shares inside of your Stocks and Shares ISA, then Vanguard won't be a good platform for you because they don't offer individual shares. Better platforms would be things like Freetrade, Trading212, eToro, and so on. The second thing to note is that we get a £20,000 allowance each tax year. So when we get to the 6th of April, you'll get a brand new £20,000 allowance, and any allowance not used from the last tax year will be lost, which is why you want to try and use as much as possible in each tax year so it doesn't roll over. If you don't lose it, you lose it. Thirdly, another point to make is you can only contribute to one Stocks and Shares ISA at a time. You cannot contribute to 2 different ones, only one at a time. If you want to switch to another one, you can either initiate a switch from, say, Hargreaves Lansdown to Vanguard, or you can wait until a new tax year starts, which pretty handily is starting in a week, and then stop contributing to the old one and start contributing to the new one, and you can leave your old one there, just you can't contribute to any more because you'll now be contributing to your new one, and you can only contribute to one at a time in each tax year. Point number 4, I can't believe I've not mentioned this yet, but the big advantage of using a Stocks and Shares ISA is that all gains are tax-free. All gains are tax-free, all dividends are tax-free, and all bond interest is tax-free. How it works is when you get paid, you will pay income tax, national insurance, student loan, so you pay tax. You then put that money inside of a Stocks and Shares ISA, and once the money is inside of that Stocks and Shares ISA wrapper, all of that money then grows tax-free forever, which is the big gain of using the Stocks and Shares ISA. And another huge pro is that it's flexible, so you can withdraw money without penalty and you can live off of your investments before retirement age. The other popular account in the UK is a pension, but a pension, although there are different pros and cons, one of the cons is you can't access that money until later on in life at 55, which is going to be increasing to 57. With a Stocks and Shares ISA, you can access that money whenever you want. So hypothetically, if you can build this pot up to say £1 million by the time you're 40, you can start living off of your investments 15, 20 years before you can start accessing your pension. So if you have aspirations like myself to retire early and live off of your money early, then a Stocks and Shares ISA is a flexible way to do that. And lastly, it goes without saying, obviously using a Stocks and Shares ISA, you're going to be investing, so you really want to have a long-term approach. You don't get rich quick through investing. If someone says that, then they're lying. You have to be really investing for the long term, 5, 10 plus years. The longer your time frame, the more chance you have of obviously making money over the long term. If you can reinvest any dividends, then that'll compound and grow your wealth quicker. Other points to make are that you can't time the market, which is why I personally set up an automatic direct debit every month. If you can set up an automatic payment, even if it starts small at 20, 50 pounds and you build it up over time as your income grows, as you gain more confidence, then I would say that's a better way to do it, of doing it automatically, and you're not letting your emotions mess with your investments rather than doing it ad hoc. Try and set up an automatic payment, know you can't time the market, and invest regularly for the long term. And I mean, that's what I'm personally doing, and then hopefully one day I can live off of my Stocks and Shares ISA pot that I'm gonna be growing. That wraps up this video. So that's my Vanguard Stocks and Shares ISA portfolio update as of end of March, start of April 2022. I think it's a good time as it's just sort of on the cusp of the end of the tax year. So you can either try and use up your remaining allowance or start a new Stocks and Shares ISA if you haven't already. And hopefully the basics I've just gone through there give you a bit more confidence that you know what it is and you can get started. And some useful links in the description below. I've got a workshop going through some investing basics and also how to open up a Stocks and Shares ISA on Vanguard's platform. I've also got an investment tracker portfolio spreadsheet if you want to track your investments. And thirdly, my third and final product is Stop Waiting, Start Investing, my ebook, which goes through a lot of this stuff, how to start investing, what is compound interest, the 3-step process I mentioned of platform, account, fund. It's all in there. Any questions as always, let me know. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.